All right, this might be one of the most unhinged influencer fallout stories we've seen all year. Because SteveWillDoIt didn't just get into an argument with Logan Paul on the Impaulsive podcast. Nah, he didn't just get confrontational. He didn't just make things awkward. He somehow found a way to take an already disastrous podcast episode, light it on fire, and then throw gasoline on it the next morning while filming himself doing it. Steve woke up, hungover, annoyed, maybe embarrassed, maybe angry, and instead of apologizing or de-escalating anything, he went straight to Instagram and unloaded one of the wildest callouts we've seen in a long time. And he didn't just go after Logan. He dragged LeBron James, Austin Reeves, MrBeast, and then hit Logan with a line referencing Japan that had the entire internet going, "All right, yeah, this just got personal." This is not just drama. This is not a misunderstanding. This is an influencer meltdown with layers, alcohol, ego, miscommunication, loyalty, and years of unresolved tension bubbling to the surface. Today, we're breaking down the full timeline, every detail you missed, all the behind-the-scenes frustration, the reactions from insiders, and why this situation between SteveWillDoIt and Logan Paul might be permanently broken. Let's get into the full story of SteveWillDoIt going off on Logan Paul after their explosive podcast blow-up. So here's the thing. Steve's appearance on Impaulsive was supposed to be a big moment. The guy was banned on YouTube for years. He has a massive fan base. People have been waiting to see where he'd go next. And when he finally gets unbanned, fans are like, yo, he's gonna come back stronger, smarter, maybe a little more mature. Mike Malak, being one of Steve's real-life friends, decides he wants to help him out. He personally invites him on the show. And in Mike's mind, this is a win-win. Steve gets exposure again, Impaulsive gets a big guest, and everyone gets to laugh about the past and talk about the future. But there's a problem. From the moment Steve sits down, the vibe feels off. He's not fully present, not fully sharp, not fully Steve. You can see Logan giving him that polite, professional introduction while Mike tries to hype him up, but there's a disconnect. It's like Steve walked in the studio with a little too much liquid confidence and not enough self-awareness. Logan breaks the ice with a question about Steve's YouTube ban. Not in a hostile way, just as a topic. But Steve instantly gets defensive. Well, technically no. Actually, technically yes. Well, it wasn't my fault exactly. He's fumbling. He's rambling. He looks and sounds like someone who didn't prepare for this moment at all. And this is the first red flag. Because Steve doesn't handle pressure well when he's drinking, and you can tell he started drinking long before the cameras rolled. But what nobody realizes yet is that this is the calm part of the storm. This is the moment the whole episode flips upside down. Logan and Mike start talking to Steve about generosity, because that's literally Steve's brand. The guy gives away cars and watches like they're Tic Tacs. Logan makes a harmless comparison. He basically says, "You're a generous dude, kind of like MrBeast." Totally normal comment, totally harmless, totally devastating. Because that one sentence triggers something in Steve. He freezes for half a second and then says, "Your friend Jimmy, he's kind of fake." And the entire mood in the room shifts instantly. Mike's eyebrows shoot up. Logan's mouth drops a little. You can almost hear one of the producers go, "Oh boy." Steve starts ranting, saying MrBeast ghosted him when he got banned, saying Jimmy stopped helping him with titles, thumbnails, video ideas, saying he doesn't care about anyone off camera. And you can see Logan try really hard to stay calm. Because remember, MrBeast is not just a friend. He's Logan's business partner in Lunchly, and one of the most respected creators on the platform. Logan tries to explain the obvious. Dude, MrBeast can't risk associating with someone who got banned. That's normal. That's business. But Steve takes this as an attack. He starts doubling down, triple downing. He's raising his voice, getting agitated, talking over Logan. And Logan, not the most patient guy on earth, eventually snaps and calls him a hater. And honestly, at this point, he kind of is being one. But now we're entering dangerous territory. Steve is reacting emotionally, irrationally, and under the influence. And Logan is reacting defensively because this is the last person he wants dragged into messy drama. The tension is officially on. After the MrBeast moment, Steve doesn't calm down. He gets worse, way worse. He keeps drinking, keeps misfiring sentences, keeps interrupting, keeps taking the conversation to dark, uncomfortable places. At one point, he starts offering Logan a $40,000 watch if he beats him in padel tennis. Another moment, he's rambling about doing drugs. Another moment, he's giving Logan compliments that sound like they were written by a malfunctioning AI chatbot. But then comes the part that pushes Logan from annoyed to angry. Steve starts dropping the N-word multiple times. Not jokingly, not sarcastically, just recklessly. It's bleeped out in the final episode, but it's very clear that Logan and Mike both hear it. Logan leans back like he physically feels the discomfort. Mike gives that where you can tell he's thinking, "Please stop, please stop, please stop." Steve just keeps going. And this is where Logan draws the line. He literally says, "You hit my line. You reached it. I have a line, and you crossed it. And that's when the tone of the show changes. Logan is no longer hosting. He's managing. He starts talking to Steve like an adult talks to a kid who's embarrassing them in public. He tells him to calm down. He tells him to pull back. He tells him he's being unprofessional. But it's too late. Steve is fully gone. And then, as if to bring the chaos full circle, Steve stands up mid-sentence, drops the mic, and just walks off the set. Mike looks defeated. Logan looks disgusted. The crew looks exhausted. But the real fallout hasn't even started yet. So the podcast ends and the cameras shut off. But according to people close to the show, Logan doesn't immediately start laughing or making jokes. He sits there, silent, annoyed, disappointed. Sources say Logan kept repeating the same thing. He made me look stupid on my own show. Apparently, Logan felt extremely embarrassed, not because Steve looked bad, but because he felt like Steve made him lose control of his own podcast. Like he was forced into a position where he had to act like the only responsible adult in the room. Behind the scenes, Logan was reportedly fuming, not yelling, not throwing a tantrum, just quietly furious. And it only got worse when the episode aired, and Steve started posting. And here's where we bring in the reference image you provided. This Instagram story is the moment everything explodes. Steve posts a screenshot-long rant listing the reasons he goes viral, and the list is wild on its own. He calls out LeBron James for talking to Corinna mid-game. He blasts Austin Reeves for allegedly trying to get with his girl, but then he targets Logan. The exact lines: Logan Paul getting mad at me for saying the N-word. Yep, stand on it. Logan, do a fraction of what I have done for black people or have been in the community. Then be the white person sticking up for black people. Stand on that too. Maybe do something for the Japanese, Logan. This is insane. Not only is Steve doubling down on the slur, he's trying to flip the blame onto Logan. And he's bringing up the darkest moment in Logan's entire career, Japan. This wasn't defensive. This wasn't clarifying. This was personal, aggressive, calculated. The internet saw this and immediately went, oh yeah, he wants war. Even people who love Steve were like, bro, you crossed every single line. And Logan, he sees the post. And according to insiders, this is where he officially checks out. Mike Malak now finds himself in the middle of a battle he never wanted to be part of. He drops a long explanation claiming, Steve was extremely drunk. They cut 20 minutes of the podcast to protect him. He wasn't kicked off. He left. They spent $10,000 filming and needed to post something. He still loves Steve. This isn't a friendship-ending thing. But the problem? Steve's IG story directly contradicts the tone Mike is trying to set. Mike is trying to lower the temperature. Steve is throwing fireballs. It becomes pretty clear that Mike is doing PR cleanup while Steve is doing emotional venting. And Logan? Logan is staying silent, which honestly says more than anything he could say out loud. The reaction online is instant. Most people agree Steve went too far. Others say Logan should have expected this. Some people call it a giant misunderstanding. Others say Steve's drinking is the real problem. Some say Steve shouldn't have used race as ammo. Others say Logan was right to shut the episode down. But the overwhelming sentiment is Steve is self-destructing, and he's dragging everyone down with him. People start posting clips, tweets, TikToks, analyzing every detail of the meltdown. And you know it's bad when even Steve's fans are saying things like, this ain't it. He needs new friends. He needs therapy. This is sad, not funny. This wasn't entertainment. This was a spiral. Here's the part viewers don't always like to discuss, but it's the truth. Steve has always used drinking as a personality trait. It's part of his brand, his image, his identity, his humor, his content. But the line between fun drinking content and this is becoming a real-life problem has been moving closer and closer for years. The podcast episode made one thing extremely obvious. When Steve gets drunk, he loses self-control. He gets impulsive, emotional, unpredictable. He says things he later regrets. He burns bridges he didn't need to burn. He hurts people who weren't trying to hurt him. This isn't just about Logan. It's about Steve versus himself. Based on everything we've heard from sources, Logan is completely finished with Steve, at least for now. Not because of the podcast, not because of the slur, not because of the drinking, but because of the IG story's final line. Maybe do something for the Japanese, Logan. That crossed a boundary Logan never wants to revisit. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't banter. It was a reminder of the darkest moment of his life. The moment he built his entire redemption on escaping. And Steve brought it up casually in an IG rant. For Logan, that's betrayal. Not drama, not beef. Betrayal. This situation isn't over. Not even close. There are only a few possible outcomes. Steve apologizes publicly, and maybe privately. He walks it back. He admits he was drunk. He explains his emotional spiral. Or he doubles down. He keeps attacking Logan. He keeps posting. and this becomes a full influencer civil war. Right now, it could go either way. So that is the full breakdown of SteveWillDoIt going off on Logan Paul after their podcast blow up. A chaotic interview, a drunken meltdown, a hostile aftermath, a targeted IG rant, deeply personal shots, and behind-the-scenes tension that might have permanently destroyed their relationship. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did Steve go too far? Was Logan right to shut him down? Is this a friendship-ending moment? Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos, and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.